iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes. The best or nothing.
Very excited about our guest today, Christina. I've seen many plays on Broadway.
Yes.
But one of the all-time greats, and I am talking about, 30 years of theater going in New York City, is what's on Broadway now at the Shubert Theater, an absolutely brilliant adaptation of Harper Lee's famous novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, written by one of our great writers today, Aaron Sorkin. And he joins us on the program. Welcome, Aaron.
It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, so nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you for years of incredible work.
Oh, thanks so much for saying so.
You know, you're really
Theater, film, TV.
You're a celebrity writer. How many writers become as famous as you are? Truman Capote, Harper Lee.
Well, that's awfully nice company, I'd love to see more writers being recognized, especially in film and television.
Right. So when Scott Rudin, the well-known and very powerful Broadway producer, approached you about adapting this classic American novel, many people's favorite American novel, any reluctance, any intimidation, any terror?
Yeah, I thought I was being punked. When he calls and says, "I want you to adapt Catcher in the Rye," I'm just going to dive under the bed. There was a lot of terror. I thought this was a suicide mission, but I leapt at the chance to do it. I just wanted to do a play. I love plays. I'm kind of an accidental writer of movies and television shows. It's a happy accident, but I set out to be a playwright. It's what I studied. I came to New York to be a playwright. I was young when my first play debuted on Broadway. It was A Few Good Men.
Yeah, great debut.
I was lucky with that. And I was brought out to Hollywood to do the movie adaptation, and then it's a common story, but it just took me a while to come home again and write my second play. And now Mockingbird is my third.
Yeah, so, it's been such a runaway success, and I think the timeliness of it. Do you understand why people are really taking to it right now?
Well, first of all, I don't think any of us could have anticipated the kind of success that we're having with the play. We've been very proud of it, and we knew that we were going to be leaving it up to the audiences and the critics. But the kind of reception that we've gotten on Broadway is something out of any playwright's dreams. The timeliness is certainly contributing to it. I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate that the play is as relevant now as it was as the book was in 1960 when it was published. But people are. One of the very gratifying things is that people don't feel like they're seeing a museum piece or a piece of nostalgia. They feel like they're seeing something that was written for our times.
Yes.
Right. Well, that's very important, too. So I'm curious, when you went back and read the novel before you began to adapt it as a play, what sort of things were you looking for in it that you thought this can be taken to the stage?
Well, my first draft of the play wasn't very good at all. It was, I think the best thing you could say about it was that it was harmless. It's probably the worst thing you could say about To Kill a Mockingbird. It was like a greatest hits album being performed by a cover band. I just took the scenes that you needed to tell the story and I stood them up. I dramatized them. And with guidance from Scott Rudin, our producer who you mentioned, I threw that all out and started all over again and just told myself, look, you agreed to write a new play, you have to write a new play. You can't pretend that you're writing this play in 1960. You're writing it today. You can't try to do a Harper Lee impersonation. You have to write the way you write. And once I made that decision, there were things in the book that I felt were noticeably antiquated at this point. And I would hate to give the impression that I set out to correct anything that Harper Lee did. All I did, as I said, was write the play today and not write it in 1960.
I think one of the enjoyable things about seeing the play for people who know the novel so well, and of course most people do, is to see what you how you change things, what you emphasize, what you de-emphasize. And I don't want to give too many things away because it's kind of fun actually to sit there doing it. But I think a key decision you made was the character of Atticus, because in the book and in the movie, he is just a hero. He is a white-hatted hero through and through, and you make him more complicated than that.
That's right. I would say this, that the most fundamental change is Atticus, and it's the fact that in the novel, he's not the protagonist. He doesn't change. He is Atticus from the beginning to the end, and he has all the answers. He's the person that you go to for wisdom. In the play, he becomes Atticus by the end of the play. He struggles with the questions instead of having all the answers. For instance, his mantra is, you can't really know someone until you crawl around inside their skin. And that there's fundamental goodness in everyone. People challenge that belief. They call him on it. Principally, Calpurnia, the housekeeper, and Jem, his son. And that brings us to the second change, which is that in the novel, a novel about racial tension in the Jim Crow South, there are really only two significant African-American characters, Calpurnia the maid and Tom Robinson the accused. And neither character really has much to say on the matter. Calpurnia bakes cornbread, and she's most interested in whether Scout is going to wear overalls or a dress to school. Tom Robinson pleads for his life. In the play, the two characters have agency.
I think they would have to in this day and age.
I think so, too. I think that, again, in 2019, using African-American characters only as atmosphere it's obviously wrong. It's also, in this story, it's a missed opportunity. And frankly, if I were Calpurnia, listening to this man who, Calpurnia is a member of the family, so listening to this man who she loves and respects, talking about how you have to crawl around inside someone else's skin to really get to know them. If I were Calpurnia, I'd say, how come you never ask your kids to crawl around inside my skin?
Interesting.
But that's such an important message, I feel. I know you're not trying to deliver a message here, but to get across, to walk in someone else's shoes, it's called empathy. And I just feel like there's not enough of that happening right now.
There's no doubt about it. And we could go into the 100 reasons for that, and maybe another time you'll have me on the program, and we'll deal with the first two of the 100. But listen, the play is about empathy. The play asks the question, does tolerance include tolerating intolerant people? But mostly the play is about what the book was about, which is it's about decency, character, what it means to be a person.
And we got to say, first-rate cast, Jeff Daniels, LaTanya Richardson-Jackson, Celia Keenan-Bolger, who's just terrific as Scout, and Will Pullen. I want to ask you, Aaron, you said you always loved the theater. Can you tell me, when you were a kid, the very first play, straight play, non-musical play, that really made an impact on you and set you off to become a writer?
First, I want to second what you said about the cast.
Yep.
Jeff, Celia, LaTanya, Will, Benga Akinabe.
Yeah.
It's Gideon Glick. It's a cast of 24, and none of them are replaceable. The first non-musical that had a big impact on me. My parents took me to see plays all the time. I grew up here in New York, and they took me to see plays all the time for no other reason than neither one of them are in show business. They just had a theater-going habit from when they were young. And oftentimes they took me to see plays that I was too young to understand.
They're the best, though, when you're a young person, I think.
There's no such thing as a bad play when you're young. And I remember seeing that championship season.
Oh, sure.
When I was 9 years old. I doubt I understood the play at all, but what I loved was the sound of dialogue. It sounded like music to me, and I wanted to imitate that sound.
Right. That's the one, the reunion of the old award-winning football team.
Reunion of a high school basketball team that won the state championship, and throughout the course of the evening, secrets from their past come up. I've reread the play since I was 9 years old, so I know what it's about now. But it was such a theatrical evening, just these actors in a room, and like I said, as I grew up, I wanted to imitate that sound.
And a great play to learn from, too, in terms of how to be a dramatic writer, because each character is not quite who he seems in the beginning, and the reveals come as the evening wears on about them all.
That's right. I love those plays. Obviously, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is sort of the granddaddy of those.
Yeah.
Where did you find, I know it's rather a basic question, but really the big difference between writing for theater and writing for film or television?
I don't change my writing style at all. As a matter of fact, as I said before, I'm kind of an accidental writer of movies and television. And so when I'm writing a movie, when I'm writing an episode of television, I'm kind of trying to get away with writing a play and putting it on screen. I'm really happiest. They tell you that when you're bringing home a new puppy, when you get a crate, the crate should just be big enough so that the puppy can turn around, but no bigger, because they like the security of those four walls. I do too. I like being in a room. Most of the things that I write take place in, whether it's a movie, a television show, or a play, will take place in a room that has four walls. I like that security too. So I try to get away with writing movies that are plays and hope that no one notices.
So you're in love with the characters, with the dialogue. This is what we're all hungry for,
Yes, I am. I have friends who do what I do who, they grew up loving Westerns, or they grew up loving thrillers, action movies, and so what they want is somebody hanging from a cliff, that kind of thing, and they do it really, really well. I don't really know how to make people hang from cliffs. I wish I did.
So we're not going to see you tackle a James Bond movie anytime soon, Aaron?
No. I think if I had written Jurassic Park, for instance, I think we never would have seen the dinosaurs. I think that they would have just been sitting around talking about dinosaurs and what would happen if dinosaurs, skipped 70 million years of evolution.
Last question for you. What was the very first play, the Aaron Sorkin juvenilia, if you will, that you ever wrote? Something that wasn't produced when you were a kid, maybe.
When I was a kid, I didn't write for pleasure until I was 21 years old. Until then, writing had been a chore to be gotten through for a school assignment. But the first thing, I wrote a play actually before A Few Good Men. A Few Good Men was the second play that I wrote. I wrote a play before that. That was going to be produced. It actually got caught up in a lawsuit, and two producers were each claiming that they had the right to do it. And it turned out to be a really lucky break, because that play, it reads like every playwright's first play. It wouldn't have gotten me off to a good start, and it allowed me, not doing that play, allowed me to write A Few Good Men.
Very good play of yours. I always like The Farnsworth Invention, a play it's well worth looking at if you haven't heard of this play, folks.
I appreciate it. I love doing The Farnsworth Invention.
Great play. All right, Aaron, before you go, we do like to ask our guests to tell us the 4 or 5 songs from Broadway shows that have some meaning to you in your life.
I'll do my best. Make Our Garden Grow from Candide just gives you the chills every time. I happened to be just coming up in the elevator here. I was humming to myself Where or When, the Rodgers and Hart song. You know what? You asked me what the first play that I saw, the first non-musical that I saw, the first show that I saw was Man of La Mancha.
Oh.
Scariest staircase in all of theater coming down the Spanish Inquisition.
That's right.
The song, you think I'm going to say The Impossible Dream.
No, I know.
But it's Dulcinea.
Absolutely. That's my favorite song from the music. Gorgeous.
Is a beautiful song. There is a musical, it did not run for very long. People don't know it. It's called The Golden Apple.
Oh, lovely.
And there's a duet in The Golden Apple that I love.
The one between Scylla and Charybdis?
That's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember. Mr. Scylla, Mr.
Mr.
Charybdis.
Yes,
That's
yeah, yeah.
right. Only I would know this.
I'm
Welcome to
amazed.
Show Queen Central, folks.
Very nice.
I'm amazed. You
Yeah.
should. You need a bonus for that.
And also, Lazy Afternoon is a very good song.
Lazy
from
Afternoon
Golden.
is beautiful, and finally, I will say the soliloquy from Carousel.
Can't go wrong with that.
Beautiful.
All right, Aaron Sorkin, thanks a lot. You're a great guest. Congratulations on the
Thank you
success
both so much.
Yeah,
of To
thank
Kill
you
a
for being here.
Mockingbird, breaking box office records at the Schubert Theater.
Get
Thank
in
you,
there,
Aaron.
right? Get yourself
Thanks
in
very much.
there.